As evening softens into night, a small town begins its gentle surrender to sleep. The streets, which hummed with activity just hours before, now settle into a profound and peaceful quietness. One by one, the windows of homes grow dark, families tucking themselves into bed, drawing blankets over shoulders, and closing their eyes to the world. The day releases its hold, and the night wraps itself around everything like a warm, comforting blanket. Soft amber streetlights glow along the cobblestone streets, casting their warm light in gentle pools. These lights are not harsh or bright, but tender and soothing, as if they themselves are drowsy and content to shine at half strength. They illuminate the quiet pathways with a golden hue, creating small islands of warmth in the gathering darkness. The shadows between the circles of light are deep and peaceful, not frightening, but inviting rest. A delicate mist begins to rise from the cool earth, gathering softly above the cobblestones like the town's own quiet breath. It swirls lazily around the street corners and drifts past the darkened storefronts, adding another layer of calm to the already hushed scene. The air itself feels heavy with contentment, as if the town and all within it are settling into the most restful sleep imaginable. The buildings stand like sleeping sentinels, their windows dark and closed, their doors locked against the night. Not a sound disturbs the peace. No voices, no footsteps, no rumble of vehicles. There is only the whisper of wind through the narrow streets, the soft patter of dew collecting on leaves, and the distant, almost imperceptible ticking of the old clock tower marking time in its steady ancient way. Everything feels suspended in this quiet moment. The whole town seems to hold its breath, content in the knowledge that night has arrived, and with it comes the permission to rest, to pause, to simply be still. This is a place where time moves gently, where sleep comes easily, where peace is the only thing that matters. And yet, as you move deeper into this sleeping town, past the darkened storefronts and the quiet homes where families rest in gentle slumber, there appears before you a single beacon of warmth and light. It is the Midnight Bakery, a small wooden cottage with weathered beams and a thatched roof that seems to have been plucked from a gentler time. While all else surrenders to darkness and silence, this little building remains awake, remains alive with purpose and warmth. Through its windows spills an amber glow, soft and inviting, like captured candlelight made liquid and poured across the night. The orange warmth radiates outward into the darkness, painting the cobblestones in front of it with a gentle, honeyed hue. You can see the glow dancing slightly, as if alive with its own quiet joy. The windows themselves seem to hold the light carefully, cradling it against the cool darkness, pressing in from all around. This cottage stands in such stark contrast to its sleeping neighbours. The houses nearby are dark, their windows like closed eyes, their streets silent and still. But the bakery glows. It breathes. It seems to say, in its warm and gentle way, that there is still life here, still purpose, still comfort being crafted in the depths of the night. The very structure of the building speaks of welcome. The wooden door frame is painted a soft cream colour, and you can almost sense the care with which it has been maintained through countless seasons. Planters beside the entrance rest quiet and patient. The small cottage seems to fold around its interior warmth like gentle hands cupped to preserve a flame. Even from a distance, you feel drawn to it, as though your heart recognizes something precious waiting within. Inside those glowing windows, shapes move slowly and deliberately. There is a rhythm to the place, a quiet intentionality. The contrast between the sleeping town and this single solitary light creates a sense of profound peace. Here is a place awake in the night, not out of restlessness, but out of care. Here is purpose. Here is the gentle work of nourishing others, beginning long before the world stirs from its dreams. Through the quiet streets of the sleeping town, a figure moves with purposeful gentleness, their footsteps soft against the damp cobblestones. The baker approaches their small cottage, carrying the familiar weight of keys and the knowledge of what the night requires. There is no hurry in their step, only the steady rhythm of someone who has walked this path countless times before, whose body knows the way even in the deepest darkness. The wooden door awaits, its paint worn soft by years of opening and closing. The baker's hand finds the lock with practiced ease, turning the key smoothly until it releases with a quiet click. The door swings inward, and for a moment, the baker pauses on the threshold, letting the cool night air exchange places with the warmth that begins to emerge from within. Then comes the sound, a gentle, silvery chime from the small bell mounted above the doorframe. It rings out softly into the darkness, a tender announcement that this place of comfort is stirring awake. The baker smiles faintly at the familiar note, a greeting to the night itself, and steps fully into the bakery. Inside, their movements become even more deliberate and calm. There is no rushing here, no hurried energy. The baker moves through the space with the reverence of someone entering sacred ground. They set down their things slowly, remove their coat with careful grace, and pause to take a deep breath. The air here already holds the memory of yesterday's baking, a lingering warmth, a whisper of flour and thyme. Their hands, weathered and strong, move to wash, then to gather the first tools needed. Every action is performed with quiet intention. This is not simply work to be done. This is a ritual, a meditation beginning in the deepest hours. The baker's face holds the serene expression of someone about to engage in something deeply meaningful, something that nourishes not just bodies, but something deeper within the human spirit. The night and this baker are old friends, reunited once again. Now the baker moves through the quiet kitchen with deliberate, unhurried steps. Each ingredient is gathered not with haste, but with a quiet reverence, as though handling precious things that deserve gentle attention. The air is cool and still, waiting to be transformed. First comes the flour. The baker reaches for the large cloth sack, its surface worn soft from years of use, and begins to measure with an old wooden scoop. There is a whisper as the scoop fills, a gentle sound like wind through wheat fields. Then, with patient care, the flour is poured into a large, shallow sieve. As the baker lifts the sieve and begins to move it slowly back and forth, the flour falls through in the softest cloud, creating a misty veil that catches the warm light of the kitchen. It descends like fresh snow, so fine and delicate it seems almost weightless. The baker pauses, watching this gentle cascade, breathing in the subtle, earthy scent of grain. It is a moment of simple beauty. Next comes the water. The baker fills a clear pitcher and approaches the large wooden bowl, where the flour now rests in a small mountain. The water is poured in a slow, steady stream, the sound soft and liquid, almost musical. It flows into the flour with a gentle splash, creating a small pool that will soon transform everything it touches. The baker listens to this quiet pouring as though it were a kind of music, unhurried and soothing. Then, a pinch of salt. The baker reaches into a small ceramic bowl and takes a handful of fine salt crystals between their fingertips. Each grain is distinct, tiny, and crystalline. The baker brings the hand closer, feeling the texture between thumb and fingers, that gentle roughness. These grains are placed carefully into the mixture, dissolving into their purpose. The salt is not sprinkled, but placed with intention, a small but essential piece of the whole. The baker steps back for a moment, looking at these simple ingredients gathered in stillness. Water, flour, salt, the foundation of everything to come. The kitchen is peaceful, waiting. Soon the hands will begin their work, but for now, there is only this quiet gathering, this meditative arrangement of simple, sacred things. And now, the baker's hands meet the dough for the very first time. The mixture sits before them, a soft mound of possibility born from flour, water, and salt, ingredients that have waited patiently to be transformed. The baker takes a deep breath, and their palms settle gently onto the dough's cool surface. The first movements are slow and deliberate. Press, fold, turn. Press, fold, turn. There is no hurry here, no urgency in the rhythm that begins to establish itself. Each motion flows naturally into the next, as though the baker's hands remember a dance they have performed countless times before. The dough resists softly, yielding only gradually to the gentle persistence of their work. The sounds begin now, a quiet, rhythmic whisper as the heel of each hand pushes into the dough, followed by the soft release as it is folded back over itself. It is a sound like waves on a distant shore, like breathing itself. There is something deeply meditative in this repeated pattern, something that settles the mind and stills the racing thoughts that occupy daytime hours. As the baker works, their breathing naturally synchronizes with their movements. Deep inhales as they fold the dough toward them. Gentle exhales as they press it away. The rhythm is hypnotic and calming, drawing them deeper into the present moment. Their shoulders relax. Their jaw softens. The world outside the kitchen begins to fade away. The warmth of the kitchen begins to build slowly around them. The oven's gentle heat radiates outward, warming the small cottage space. The baker's own body heat mingles with it, creating an envelope of comfort. The dough beneath their hands grows warmer as well, responding to their touch, to the friction of the kneading, to the loving attention being lavished upon it. This is not work. This is care. This is a meditation performed with the whole self. Body, breath, and heart, all moving in perfect harmony with the ancient rhythm of making bread. The baker's hands move now with a rhythm older than memory, a dance performed countless times in the quiet hours before dawn. There is no hesitation in these movements, no pause to consider the next step. The hands simply know. They fold the dough with practiced precision, pressing down with the heel of one palm, while the other gently turns the mass toward them. Down and fold. Turn, down, and fold. Turn again. It is a conversation between hands and dough, one that requires no words. The baker's eyes narrow slightly, focused inward on the sensation beneath their fingertips. They feel for the subtle changes happening with each fold, reading the dough's progress like a familiar story. Their initial resistance is beginning to soften now. What was moments ago a shaggy, reluctant mass is becoming smoother, more cooperative, more alive. The baker's breathing matches the rhythm of their work, deep and even, drawing in the warming air of the kitchen. Gentle strength flows through wrists and forearms, the kind of strength built not from force, but from years of repetition. There is no strain here, no tension. The baker's shoulders remain relaxed, their movements fluid and economical. Every gesture serves a purpose. Every pressure applied is exactly what the dough requires, no more, no less. The surface of the dough is beginning to shift. Where it was rough and uneven, it is becoming smooth and elastic, developing a subtle sheen that catches the soft kitchen light. The baker pauses briefly, pressing their palm flat against the dough to feel its resilience. They nod, satisfied, and continue their gentle work. Around them, the kitchen settles into the rhythm of this ancient task. The clock ticks softly on the wall. A board creaks beneath the baker's feet as their weight shifts. The dough makes soft, almost whispering sounds as it yields to skilled hands. These sounds are the language of transformation, and the baker understands them completely. Their body knows exactly what this dough needs and when it needs it. Trust guides every movement now. Trust built through 10,000 previous nights, through countless loaves that rose perfectly under this baker's care. This is not work anymore. This is prayer made physical, meditation made manifest, and the baker's hands move through it with absolute certainty. And now, beneath the baker's patient hands, something miraculous begins to unfold. The dough, which moments before was rough and resistant, starts its gentle transformation. With each fold, each press, each rhythmic motion, the gluten strands align and strengthen, weaving together into an invisible web of elasticity and life. The baker's fingers sense this shift immediately, feeling how the dough is becoming smoother, more responsive, more willing beneath their touch. The resistance softens. What was once dense and stubborn now yields with a quiet suppleness, like silk beginning to flow. The baker's hands move with knowing confidence, and the dough seems to answer their every intention. There is a subtle give and take now, a conversation between baker and dough, as if the two have become partners in something sacred and ancient. The quiet kitchen fills with the soft, rhythmic sounds of this work. There is the gentle slap of dough against the wooden surface, a sound both grounding and meditative. The baker's breathing remains steady and calm, synchronized almost unconsciously with their movements. Around them, the kitchen offers its own quiet symphony. The soft hum of the cooling oven behind them, the barely perceptible tick of the wall clock marking the passage of night, the distant patter of the town's sleeping sounds filtered through the cottage walls. The baker's satisfaction grows with each moment. They can feel it now, that perfect point where the dough has found its balance. The surface becomes increasingly smooth and satiny beneath their palms. Small beads of moisture glisten faintly on the surface, evidence of the work being done, of transformation occurring. The dough is no longer just ingredients waiting to become something else. It has become something alive, something that seems to breathe and move with its own gentle purpose. The baker pauses for just a moment, allowing their hands to rest upon the transformed dough, feeling its warmth, sensing its readiness for what comes next. In this single quiet instant, there is profound satisfaction in a job well begun, and deep gratitude for the privilege of this ancient craft. Now the baker lifts the finished dough with both hands, cradling it gently as though holding something infinitely precious. The dough is warm and alive, pliable and ready for its transformation. With slow, deliberate steps, the baker carries it to the warmest corner of the kitchen, a place blessed by proximity to the sleeping oven and kissed by the gentle warmth that lingers from the night's work. There is a large ceramic bowl waiting, and the baker carefully nestles the dough within it, letting it settle into its temporary home. For a moment, there is only stillness. The baker's hands rest against the smooth surface, feeling the subtle warmth beneath their palms, the gentle resilience of the dough responding to their touch. Then comes the covering. The baker reaches for a soft linen cloth, weathered by countless nights of this same tender care, and unfolds it with reverence. It floats down like a whisper, draping across the bowl in a gentle embrace that will protect the dough as it dreams and grows. The cloth settles without a sound, and in that moment, the kitchen seems to hold its breath. The baker steps back, allowing space for the invisible work to begin. The flour will rest. The yeast will wake and work in quiet dedication. The gluten will relax and strengthen itself, preparing for what is to come. Time, that most patient teacher, will do what hurried hands cannot. There is nothing more to do now, but wait. The baker glances at the covered bowl once more, then turns away slowly. The kitchen is quieter now, the sounds of kneading and working having faded into stillness. Only the soft ticking of the old clock remains, marking the gentle passage of time as the dough begins its first rise, expanding infinitely slowly in the warm, dim corner, becoming something more than it was before. The baker sits nearby, knowing that patience is perhaps the most important ingredient of all. As the dough settles into its patient rise in the warm corner of the kitchen, the soft chime of the doorbell breaks through the gentle silence like a whisper, calling across still water. The baker looks up from their work, hands dusted with flour, and a warm smile spreads slowly across their face. The figure who enters carries with them the cool touch of the night air and the faint smell of the mist-covered streets. Their shoulders are gentle, slightly rounded from the weight of a long shift, or perhaps the road traveled to arrive here. Their eyes are tired but peaceful, holding that particular kind of peace that comes only in the deep hours when the world has stopped its rushing and allowed itself to simply be. They pause just inside the doorway, breathing in deeply, as if they have arrived at exactly the place they did not know they were searching for. The warmth of the bakery wraps around them like a soft embrace, and their tired expression softens even further into something approaching contentment. The aroma of the place, that rich, yeasty warmth of dough rising, the lingering sweetness from earlier baking, the subtle earthiness of flour and salt and thyme, seems to draw them forward as though following an invisible thread. Their tired gaze moves slowly around the small cottage, taking in the flour-dusted surfaces, the glow of the ovens, the sense of quiet purpose that fills every corner. There is something in this place that calls to wanderers and night workers, to those souls who find themselves awake when most of the world sleeps. Perhaps it is the warmth. Perhaps it is simply knowing that somewhere in the middle of the dark and quiet night, someone is awake and working with their hands to create something nourishing and real. The customer's breath becomes slower, deeper. Their shoulders drop slightly as though releasing a burden they have been carrying. In this moment, in this warm and flower-dusted sanctuary, they are exactly where they need to be. The customer speaks first, their voice barely above a whisper, as though afraid to disturb the gentle quiet that fills the bakery. They ask if anything warm is available, if perhaps the baker has something from the earlier baking. Their words are soft and unhurried, carrying the weight of a long night and the hope of finding comfort in this unexpected place. The baker listens with full attention, their eyes warm and knowing, as they nod slowly and turn toward the cooling racks. The baker's response is equally gentle, spoken in those hushed tones that only exist in the deepest hours of night. They move with deliberate care toward a basket lined with clean cloth, speaking of bread baked just hours ago, still holding the warmth of the oven in its golden crust. Their hands, dusted with flour, lift a beautiful loaf carefully, as though presenting something precious. They offer it to the customer with a peaceful smile, asking softly how their evening has been. What brings them to the bakery at this quiet hour? The customer's reply comes slowly, thoughtfully. They share a few simple words about their journey, their tiredness, their gratitude for finding this place. There is no rush in their speaking, no need to fill silences. Instead, each word hangs gently in the warm air between them, and both understand the weight and comfort of these simple exchanges. The baker listens with genuine interest, nodding occasionally, their expression one of complete presence. They offer to wrap the bread carefully, asking if the customer would like anything else. Perhaps a small pastry from the morning baking still waiting on the shelf, something sweet to accompany the warm bread. The customer accepts with quiet gratitude, and in this simple transaction, something deeper passes between them. A moment of genuine human connection, of one soul nourishing another in the peaceful darkness. The customer holds their warm purchase close, and for a moment, time seems to pause in this small sanctuary of light and warmth. The bread, still radiating gentle heat through its paper wrapping, feels like a small miracle in their tired hands. They breathe in deeply, allowing the rich aroma of fresh baking to fill their lungs completely, and something within them that was tight and weary begins to soften and release. The baker watches from behind the counter with eyes that have seen many such moments over countless quiet nights. There is no need for words now. A knowing smile crosses their weathered face. The kind of smile that speaks of understanding without judgment, of recognizing the hunger that brought this person to their door at this impossible hour. It is not merely the hunger of an empty stomach, but something deeper, something that only the warmth and comfort of a midnight bakery can touch. The customer finds a small corner near the window, settling into the peace that radiates from every surface of this gentle place. Outside, the rain continues its soft percussion against the glass, but here, wrapped in warmth and the embrace of that extraordinary aroma, they are protected and held. The bread in their hands feels like a gift, like an answer to an unspoken question. In this quiet exchange, something precious passes between two souls who may never meet again. The baker's care, kneaded into every loaf with patient hands and a steady heart, now nourishes not just the body, but the spirit of this weary visitor. The customer's gratitude, silent and deep, acknowledges the gift they have received in this unlikely meeting. The baker returns to their work, and yet the moment lingers, suspended in the soft golden light of the bakery. Peace has been exchanged, acknowledged, and received. In the heart of the night, in this small cottage glowing against the darkness, two people have touched something sacred together, and both are transformed by the simplicity and grace of bread, warmth, and human kindness. The baker's feet carry them softly back toward the warm corner where the dough rests. The kitchen has grown even warmer now, and the air itself seems to hold its breath in anticipation. Moving with the gentle quietness that has become second nature, the baker approaches the covered bowl, and there is a moment of stillness before lifting the cloth away. A smile crosses their face, quiet and knowing. The dough has transformed. Where once it lay compact and small, it now rises with gentle abundance, nearly doubled in its volume, swollen with the invisible work of yeast and time and warmth. It is a beautiful thing to witness, this quiet becoming. With fingers that know exactly how much pressure to use, the baker reaches out and presses gently into the surface of the dough. It yields beneath the touch, soft and yielding, and when the finger is withdrawn, the indentation fills back slowly, perfectly. This is what they were waiting for. This exact texture, this precise response. The dough has risen exactly as it should. The baker nods to themselves, satisfied with the progress, with the evidence that the night's work is moving forward according to its own gentle rhythm. Their hand lingers for just a moment on the warm bowl, feeling the life within it. And now the aroma begins to shift and deepen. Where before it was subtle, a soft yeasty whisper, it has grown into something more present, more alive. The scent of fermentation and warmth and developing flavor fills the small cottage, weaving through the kitchen, settling into every corner. It is the smell of transformation happening, of potential being slowly realized. The soft sounds of the kitchen continue their quiet work around the baker. A floorboard settles slightly. The oven ticks with gentle warmth. Outside, the night remains peaceful and still. But here, in this one warm place, there is such purposeful, quiet activity. The dough will rest just a bit longer before its next stage, and the baker knows that all is proceeding exactly as it should. Now comes the part where the baker's hands move with the quiet certainty of countless nights before. The dough, now risen and full of gentle promise, is ready to be shaped. The baker sprinkles a whisper of flour across the work surface, a soft cloud that catches the warm light of the kitchen. Each movement is deliberate, unhurried, like a meditation written into muscle and memory. The baker presses their palms gently into the first mound of dough, feeling its warmth and resilience. There is no rushing here, only presence. The dough is folded inward with tenderness, turned and folded again, the baker's hands working in a rhythm older than words. Each fold brings the dough closer to its final form, gathering its strength, concentrating its warmth. The baker's breathing remains steady and calm, matching the pace of their hands. A light dusting of flour is applied here and there, just enough to prevent sticking, just enough to create a soft veil across the surface. The baker's touch is so gentle, it might be mistaken for a caress. They understand the dough completely now, know exactly how much pressure it needs, exactly how it wants to be held. One by one, the shaped loaves are placed onto cloth-lined trays with care. Each one settles into its space, like it has found home. The baker steps back momentarily, observing the row of loaves before them, their golden bronze surfaces ready for their final rise. There is quiet satisfaction in this moment, a sense of purpose fulfilled. The air in the kitchen has become thick and warm, carrying the scent of fermented grain and salt. The baker's hands are dusted with flour, their apron bearing the gentle marks of the night's work. This simple act of shaping has become something more, a conversation between baker and dough, a partnership of intention and trust. The loaves rest now, waiting patiently for their last rise before the transforming heat of the oven calls them to their final beautiful form. As the shaped loaves rest on their trays, the baker moves with quiet intention into this sacred final preparation. The dough has risen beautifully during its second awakening, each loaf now plump with promise and possibility. The baker's hands, which have guided this dough through every stage of its journey, pause to admire the work before them. These are not merely loaves of bread waiting to be baked. These are the culmination of patience, skill, and devotion. From a drawer worn smooth by countless nights of use, the baker retrieves a sharp scoring blade. The metal catches the soft kitchen light as they test its edge with a gentle touch. This blade must be perfectly sharp, for clean cuts will allow the bread to expand beautifully in the oven's heat, creating those beautiful, controlled breaks along the crust that speak of a baker's careful hand. Leaning over the first loaf, the baker's breath becomes steady and measured. Their entire focus narrows to this single task. With the blade held at a precise angle, they make the first cut, a single, confident stroke across the dough surface. The blade glides through with the gentlest resistance, creating a thin, elegant line. The baker steps back, studies the result, and moves to the next loaf. Another cut, then another. Each stroke is deliberate, creating patterns that are both functional and beautiful. Some loaves receive parallel lines, others a single bold diagonal, a few bear intricate cross-hatching that will transform the crust into a work of art. The baker's eyes grow distant and focused at once, operating from pure muscle memory and intuition. Their body remembers thousands of these cuts made across countless nights. There is no hesitation, no second guessing. There is only the quiet certainty of someone who has found their purpose. Once scored, the loaves are arranged with careful precision on the oven's waiting shelves, spaced just so to allow the heat to circulate freely around each one. The baker's hands move slowly, reverently, positioning each loaf as though placing something precious into a sacred space. Everything is ready now. Everything waits for the fire. As the night deepens in the bakery's warm embrace, the soft chime of the door announces another visitor. This person enters with the quiet uncertainty of someone discovering this place for the first time, their shoulders slightly hunched against the cool night outside. They pause in the doorway, as if surprised to find such warmth and light still burning in the world at this late hour. The baker looks up from their work, hands dusted with flour, and offers a gentle smile of recognition. not the recognition of knowing this person before, but rather the deeper recognition of understanding why they have come. There is something in their tired eyes, in the way they stand, as if the weight of the night has been heavy upon them, that speaks of someone searching for more than just bread. The visitor moves slowly toward the counter, drawn by the aroma that fills every corner of the cottage, that invisible embrace of yeast and warmth and possibility. They inhale deeply, and something in their expression softens. Perhaps they have had a difficult evening, or perhaps they simply could not sleep and found themselves walking these quiet streets until light appeared like a beacon. The baker says nothing at first, simply continuing their gentle work, allowing the visitor to breathe in the comfort of the place. When they do speak, their voice is as warm as the kitchen itself, offering a quiet greeting that asks no questions and expects no explanation. They gesture toward the cooling bread with an understanding nod, inviting the visitor to choose what calls to them. In this small moment, something passes between two souls in the darkness. The visitor finds themselves not alone, but held gently by the baker's quiet compassion and the simple truth that at this hour, in this place, all who enter are welcomed. The bakery continues its nightly work, and another heart finds solace in its glowing warmth. The baker approaches the oven with the quiet reverence of someone about to witness something sacred. The heavy door opens slowly, releasing a wave of gentle warmth that seems to pause the very air around them. Inside, the oven glows with a deep amber light, a soft and welcoming glow that speaks of steady heat carefully maintained through the long night. The interior is like a sanctuary of warmth, and for a moment, the baker simply stands before it, feeling the comfort radiating outward. With deliberate care, the baker reaches for the first shaped loaf resting on its cloth-lined tray. Their hands, practiced and sure, lift it with a tenderness that seems to honor all the hours of work that have led to this moment. The loaf is placed gently onto the baker's peel, that long wooden instrument that has become an extension of their knowledge and skill. Moving slowly to the oven's mouth, they carefully slide the loaf inside, watching as it finds its place on the hot stone. One by one, the other loaves follow, each placed with the same thoughtful care, arranged so they have room to expand and breathe as they transform. The soft scrape of the peel withdrawing echoes gently in the quiet kitchen. The baker reaches for the oven door and closes it with a hushed, deliberate motion. The sound is not a slam, but a gentle settling, as if the oven is wrapping itself around the bread like a protective embrace. Inside, the heat begins its patient work, and the baker can almost feel the dough responding, beginning its miraculous transformation from raw potential into golden sustenance. The baker's hand moves to the timer, a simple device that will mark the passage of minutes. Click. The timer is set, and now the waiting truly begins. The baker steps back, allowing the oven to do what it has been created to do. The work has shifted from human hands to heat and time, from active kneading to patient trust. The baker knows that within these moments of gentle heat, something profound is happening, something that cannot be rushed, only honored and observed. The oven's warmth has awakened something ancient and beautiful. A gentle heat settles throughout the small cottage, and with it comes the first whisper of aroma. It is subtle at first, barely perceptible, like a memory rising from sleep. The scent of yeast beginning its transformation drifts softly through the air, warm and earthy, speaking of grain and time and patience. The baker pauses in their work and breathes deeply, recognizing this familiar beginning. Their shoulders relax slightly. This is the moment they have been waiting for. The moment when the work they have done with their hands is now cradled by the gentle heat of the oven. Minutes pass, like slow breaths. The aroma begins to intensify, growing richer, deeper, more present. It is no longer a whisper, but a gentle song filling every corner of the bakery. The scent seems to soften the very air itself, making it warmer, more tender. It wraps around the baker like a familiar embrace, and they move through their kitchen with even greater calm, knowing the bread is becoming itself. The customer sitting quietly by the window closes their tired eyes and breathes in deeply. They did not expect this. They came seeking warmth on a cold night, but this aroma is speaking to something deeper within them, something that remembers comfort, home, safety. It fills their chest with quiet gratitude. Another customer has arrived, drawn by something they cannot quite name. They stand near the counter, their eyes closed, simply breathing. The aroma surrounds them completely now, rich and inviting, yeasty and deeply comforting. It fills the small space with such presence that it seems to erase the outside world entirely. The baker smiles, understanding. This aroma is a gift they offer to the night. It is the bread becoming bread, transformation happening in warmth and darkness. It is hope itself taking form, and it asks nothing but to be breathed in, to be received, to nourish the weary souls who have found their way here. As the night deepens within the cozy warmth of the bakery, something shifts in the world beyond its walls. A whisper moves through the darkness outside, a gentle stirring of air that carries with it the promise of moisture and coolness. The wind begins to dance, soft and unhurried, carrying the scent of the approaching rain from distant places toward this small sanctuary of warmth and light. Then, as if nature itself is beginning to sing a lullaby, the first drops begin to fall. They arrive gently, tentatively, like a patient hand tapping upon glass. Pitter, patter, pitter, patter. A rhythm as soothing as a heartbeat, as natural as breathing. The sound grows gradually, never rushing, never demanding attention, but simply becoming part of the night's gentle symphony. The drops continue their soft percussion against the bakery windows, each one adding its voice to the growing chorus of rainfall. The windows begin to glisten with moisture, tiny rivulets forming and sliding downward in winding paths. The glass fogs gently from the warmth inside, meeting the coolness of the rain outside, creating a delicate mist that softens the boundary between the cozy interior and the peaceful night beyond. This misty veil makes the bakery feel even more enclosed, more intimate, more like a secret haven tucked away from the world. And then comes something unexpected and beautiful. The fresh, clean scent of rain mingles with the warm aroma of baking bread that fills every corner of the cottage. Earth and water join with yeast and grain, creating a fragrance so profound and comforting that it seems to wrap around everyone inside like a gentle embrace. The smell deepens and enriches, becoming something almost sacred. The smell of nourishment and renewal, of nature and human care intertwining together in perfect harmony. The rain continues its patient falling, adding another layer of coziness to this already warm space. Outside, the world becomes softer, quieter. wrapped in the gentle gift of falling water. But inside the bakery, surrounded by the sound of rain and the mingled aromas of earth and bread, there exists a perfect sanctuary. The warmth, the light, the smell, the sound of the rain, everything together creates a moment of profound peace and belonging. Now the baker stands before the oven window, drawn by an invisible pull. They have learned to sense the exact moment when the transformation begins. That subtle shift when pale dough becomes something golden and alive. The window is warm beneath their fingertips as they peer through. And there, inside the amber glow, the magic unfolds. The loaves are beginning to turn. What was pale cream just moments ago is now taking on the softest hints of honey and butter. The baker watches with the quiet patience of someone who has done this countless times, yet never grows tired of witnessing it. The crust is blistering gently, developing its character, earning the crackling texture that will give way to a tender crumb within. There is a soft sound now, almost like a whisper, a gentle sizzle and crackle as the crust sets and hardens, as moisture escapes in fine steam that fogs the window slightly. The baker leans closer, their breath fogging the glass, but they can still see clearly enough. The glow of the oven bathes everything in warm amber light, casting dancing shadows across the baker's face. They stand in this amber radiance, utterly still, utterly present. One loaf is catching just slightly more color on one side, and the baker makes a mental note to rotate it in just a moment more. Another loaf's surface is developing the most beautiful, deep golden hue, the kind that promises a satisfying crunch when bitten into. The baker's lips curve slightly upward, not quite a smile, but something close. A small contentment, a quiet satisfaction with the way things are progressing exactly as they should. The heat from the oven feels good on their face. The sound of baking bread is the most peaceful sound in the world. That gentle sizzle, that soft crackle. Like the oven is singing a quiet song just for those patient enough to listen. The baker listens. They wait. They trust that the process, now in motion, will complete itself with grace and care. The timer's soft chime sounds like a gentle whisper in the quiet kitchen, and the baker moves with unhurried grace toward the oven's warm glow. With practiced hands, they reach for the long wooden peel, its handle smooth from countless nights of tender use. The oven door opens slowly, releasing a gentle cloud of steam that rises and curls through the air like soft, invisible ribbons dancing in the warmth of the cottage. It's a beautiful sight, this mist of transformation, carrying with it the deep, yeasty perfume of complete work. One by one, the baker slides the peel beneath each golden loaf, cradling them with the care one might show a sleeping child. The bread is magnificent, a deep amber brown, rich and glowing with the heat of its journey. The crusts crackle and settle with the gentlest of sounds, small whispers of completion as the loaves begin their transition from oven heat to open air. The baker listens to these quiet songs with satisfaction, knowing them well from countless nights before. As each loaf emerges into the cooler kitchen, more steam rises, catching the soft light and creating a momentary halo around the bread, before dissipating into the peaceful air. The baker places each one upon the wooden cooling racks with reverent attention, arranging them in a gentle line, like precious treasures. The sound of the bread settling continues, soft pops and tiny cracks in the crust that speak of perfect baking, of heat and time and care converging in exactly the right measure. Now comes the baker's quiet inspection, their eyes moving across each loaf with the gentleness of someone checking on something deeply loved. A fingertip traces the scored patterns across the top, feeling the heat that still radiates from the perfect crust. The color is exactly as it should be, deep gold with touches of amber at the edges, speaking of proper fermentation and perfect timing. The baker nods with quiet satisfaction, knowing that the night's first great cycle is complete. Around them, the bakery fills with the most beautiful aroma imaginable, and somewhere deep in their heart, the baker smiles at work well done. As the hours draw deeper into the night, the town around the bakery grows even more hushed and still. The streets, already quiet when the baker arrived, have now settled into a profound silence that seems almost sacred. The few street lights that glow along the cobblestone pathways cast their gentle amber light onto pavement that appears completely empty now, as if the entire world has surrendered to sleep. There are no footsteps, no distant sounds of life continuing elsewhere. Even the wind has gentled, as though the night itself is taking a deep breath and holding it softly. The rain, which began so delicately earlier in the evening, continues its tender falling. The drops tap gently against the bakery windows in a rhythm that feels almost meditative, a natural lullaby for the sleeping town beyond. The glass has grown cool and misty from the temperature difference, creating soft halos around the bakery's warm lamplight. The smell of rain mingles with the profound aroma of baked bread that now fills every corner of the small cottage, creating a fragrance that speaks of comfort and care. Outside, the world seems to have slowed its heartbeat. The houses that line the quiet streets sit in darkness, their windows black mirrors reflecting nothing but the gentle glow from the bakery. Behind those dark windows, entire families sleep undisturbed, their bodies resting in the deep hours when dreams run deepest and the world feels furthest away. Nothing moves on the empty streets. Even the shadows cast by the streetlights seem to deepen rather than shift. But here, in this small wooden cottage with its warm orange glow spilling out into the darkness, life continues its gentle rhythm. The bakery remains a sanctuary of warmth and light against the peaceful darkness outside. Within its walls, the ovens radiate gentle heat, the counters hold their treasures of golden bread, and the baker moves with calm purpose through the night. It is a place apart from the sleeping town, a place where work continues with love and intention. The bakery glows like a small beacon of comfort, a reminder that even in the deepest hours of night, there is warmth, there is nourishment, and there is care being given to those who venture into this peaceful darkness, seeking solace and connection. As the deepest hours of night settle over the small town, the bakery becomes a quiet refuge for those still moving through the darkness. The bell above the door chimes softly, and a weary figure steps inside, their shoulders relaxed by the warmth that meets them. This person carries the weight of a long shift, or perhaps the restlessness of sleepless hours. But here in this gentle space, something shifts within them. The baker looks up with eyes that hold no judgment, only understanding, and offers a warm loaf still radiating heat from the oven. The exchange needs few words. A quiet thank you, a soft smile, the gentle crinkle of paper, as the bread is wrapped. These moments feel sacred somehow, a small nourishment offered not just to the body, but to the weary soul. Another visitor arrives before long, shaking droplets of rain from their coat. The baker moves with the same calm presence, the same unhurried grace that has carried them through every hour of this long night. They know without being asked what is needed here. Perhaps it is the warmth of the bread. Perhaps it is simply the knowledge that someone cared enough to work through the darkness so that others might have sustenance. The customer sits for a moment, holding the warm loaf as if it were a small comfort, a gentle reminder that they are not alone in the night. The baker moves between these quiet exchanges and their endless work with the ease of someone who has found their true purpose. There is profound satisfaction in this, in knowing that through the patient hours of kneading and shaping and waiting, they have created something that nourishes and sustains. Each customer who leaves with bread in their hands carries with them a small piece of this peace, this warmth, this gentle act of care. The bakery glows softly, a beacon of kindness in the quiet night, and the baker remains steady and present, a quiet guardian of comfort in the darkness. The baker pauses, hands stilling above the counter. There is something in the air, something so gentle and imperceptible that only someone who has spent countless nights in this small kitchen could sense it. The absolute blackness of the sky outside the window has begun to shift, just barely, into something else. A darkening of blue, so subtle it might be imagined, yet unmistakably present to the practiced eye. No clock has chimed, no alarm has sounded. Yet the baker knows, as they have known on 1,000 other mornings, that the long night is drawing toward its close. There is a rhythm to these hours, a natural turning point that the body learns to recognize, even when sleep has long since departed. The baker glances toward the cooling racks where the last loaves rest, their golden crusts beginning to firm and harden into that perfect structure that will hold the soft warmth within. The aroma still rises gently from them, a comfort that has filled this cottage for hours now. It clings to the walls, to the baker's apron, to the very air itself, creating a cocoon of warmth in the growing stillness. The preparations for closing begin slowly, without hurry. There is no urgency here, only the natural progression of one moment into the next. The baker's movements become lighter, more deliberate. A cloth is folded and draped across the work surface. The flour bin is sealed. Water is drawn to wash away the traces of the night's labor, and the baker's hands, marked with flour dust and dough, become clean again. The oven cools now, its work complete. The baker stands before it for a moment, feeling the residual heat that will persist for hours, warming the cottage long after the work is finished. Outside, the sky continues its silent transformation. The rain has ceased. The streets remain wrapped in sleep. Yet something stirs in the distance, something ancient and inevitable. The baker breathes in deeply, drawing the last full measure of this night's aroma into their being, knowing that soon the cottage will begin to cool, and the world will wake to claim the day. As the first soft light begins to touch the eastern sky, the baker moves through the cottage with gentle, purposeful movements. The remaining loaves rest on cooling racks, their golden crusts still radiating warmth, slowly settling into stillness. The baker's hands move with quiet care, turning each loaf just slightly, allowing the air to circulate evenly, knowing that patience completes what the oven began. The kitchen now holds the weight of the night's beautiful work. The baker begins to tidy, moving slowly through the space they have inhabited for hours. Flour is wiped from counters with a damp cloth. Dishes are rinsed and set to dry, and the large wooden table is cleared of its tools and treasures. Each motion is unhurried, almost meditative, as if the baker is gently putting the kitchen to rest, just as the town is settling into sleep. The oven, which has glowed faithfully through the darkness, is turned off. The baker's hand reaches for the dial, and with a soft click, the warmth begins its slow fade. The amber glow dims gradually, like a candle being carefully extinguished, and the kitchen grows cooler, more still. The lights that have burned so brightly against the night are dimmed one by one. The harsh glow softens into something gentler, warmer, more like candlelight. Shadows deepen in the corners of the cottage, and the space transforms into something even more peaceful than before. The small wooden sign in the window that reads, "Open," is turned carefully, becoming the reverse that says, "Closed." Outside, the baker steps into the cool morning air, locks the sturdy wooden door with a soft click, and listens. The town around them has settled into complete silence. The rain has stopped. The streets are empty. The night's work is complete. A profound peace returns to the sleeping town, and the cycle closes gently. Tomorrow waits quietly on the horizon, patient and kind, knowing that the baker will rest and then begin again